I know people are going to see this title and 100% clown on me for yet another video that pertains to me talking about how another movie made me feel seen. And I know it has become a sort of a running joke on my channel, but I'm not exaggerating when I say that Zootopia 2 genuinely made me feel understood in terms of my feelings on the political climate and everything that's going on in the world. And I'll get into that in a little bit, so just stick with me. I went into Zootopia 2 with zero expectations. I pretty much just assumed it was going to be another not so great sequel and that it wouldn't really delve deeper into the allegory of racism and all the other things like that, right? Because I mean, it's Disney after all. Like, what would we expect, right? But no, it actually delved a lot deeper into topics of colonization and ethnic cleansing and elitism and the corruption of government. Our main antagonist of the movie is, of course, the Lynxes, the Lynxley family, because they are one of the richest families. They are the alleged founders of Zootopia, or so we were thought to believe. But no, actually, that's not the case. The truth behind it all is that I guess an ancestor of the Lynxleys, he saw the idea that the snake, Gary the Snake's grandmother, or great-great-grandmother, had for creating Zootopia. And of course, because as with many rich politicians, rich people, elitists in the world, he felt that, no, actually, this is a really great idea. I want it to be my idea. And so he purposely took out the page that showed it was the great-grandmother Snakes' idea and framed her as an attacker, and thus then became the down spiral and the fear of snakes and reptiles as a whole. And that's where we are now. Obviously, it's pretty self-explanatory that there was ethnic cleansing being played here, which is where people force out a minority group or religious group or whatever out of their home for the sake of feeling that they are superior to them and trying to marginalize them. And right off the bat, obviously, as I mentioned, this movie delves into that a lot more heavily than the first movie did, with a lot more seriousness, which is really appreciated, because stepping away from the politicalness for a bit, this movie almost feels like it grew up with its audience and what I mean by that is that the humor is increasingly more adult. There are so many innuendos and just overall funnier moments, I'd say, than in the first one. Although obviously not all of them are gonna hit. They still have to cater to the kids, even though I believe this movie is not even marked for kids. I think it's marked for family, so that's at least a plus there, am I right? And so the premise of the movie is pretty much Judy and Nick trying to solve this case, but also simultaneously trying to prove to everybody that they are capable of working together despite their differences, both physically as animals, a bunny and a fox, and as people, personality-wise. And obviously, since we know that Nick in the first movie is pretty much like, it's not a surprise that he's alluded to be a person of color or minority, given how everyone in Zootopia treats him. And so in a way, one could argue that this movie is touching deep into, I would even say, interracial relationships, partnerships. And I would say it's done pretty well, given how well the dynamic between Nick and Judy is, and how, for the shippers out there, it's giving one of the greatest slow burn romances ever. My standards have never been set higher. Thank you, Nicholas Wilde, for that. And yeah, I mean, the dynamic was honestly my favorite part in the entire movie, not including literally everything else in the movie. From the animation, it looked absolutely beautiful. I really have no words and no notes. It looked amazing. Hoping that the animators got paid well, please, fingers crossed. And the plot and the plot twist in general, all of it was done really well. I know for some people, the twist villain at the end with Poppert, the son of the main Linksley guy, the big bad guy, is basically the equivalent of furry Hans from Frozen, but I'd honestly say he works a little bit better, dare I say, than Hans, because we learned that he essentially is ostracized from his own family for not behaving and not being normal as they are and being as evil and twisted as they are. And so to him, he wants to be that. He wants to fit in. He doesn't want to be different from his family. And this longing to gain the approval of his father and from those in his family and those around him, he will do what it takes. And for that, he tries to quite literally kill off like at least 4 characters in the movie, which I'm not gonna say because it's kind of self-explanatory who's trying to kill main characters, of course. But still, I didn't really see it coming. I actually really liked these new characters a lot, that I was honestly surprised that Pobbert was really the twist villain, because his introduction was so good. I really liked them, but I won't lie, his villainess is kind of raw. I ain't gonna lie. They did a whole Shining reference when he was trying to go seek Nick and Judy to go kill them and to like go destroy the book that basically held the truth about who actually founded Zootopia. And it was beautiful. There were so many references in the movie. It was really cool to get like most of that. That's what I mean when I feel like this movie isn't dumbed down, and if anything grows up along with its audience, because obviously it's been what, like 6-7 years or so since the original came out, probably even longer. I think it might even more. I honestly don't even know anymore. Time is flying so fast. And I will say it is truly sad watching the movie and seeing how much of it reflects what's going on in the current political climate, our current daily lives, with the higher ups, the people in the government trying to get rid of immigrants of all kinds because they don't want us. People, they're awful, they're evil, and it's crazy that this movie just talks about it. Obviously not directly, but it does portray colonization and gentrification and ethnic cleansing of the snakes, the reptiles. Their home literally gets buried in snow and they have to then go out in hiding. Like, snakes are not even really around anymore. And it's truly sad because obviously one could even tie this to our real, like I mentioned, could be tied to our real life. Gary the Snake, which is like, he's such a wonderful character. I loved him so much. And he's just, I don't know, like these new characters were just so well executed. I know a lot of people were worried that Nibbles, for example, the beaver, they thought that she was gonna be super annoying, which I know some people still do, but I personally don't. I thought she was genuinely one of the funniest characters in the whole movie. And yeah, I mean, all the characters were done really well. Again, they really try to make you sympathize with Popper, our twist villain, but it's done so well where it's like, oh, I hate this guy, but at the same time you almost feel bad because we see that he was literally being abused by his father because he was different and he wasn't acting the way that he's supposed to, if you will. And I wouldn't say justification, but there's reasoning for his motives, and I appreciate that they do that, unlike again Hans from like Frozen, where like it low-key came out of nowhere that he was a twist villain. But I digress. And we see Nick and Judy's dynamic progress more than in the first movie. They don't get together though romantically, sorry shippers, which it also hurts me too because I want them together so bad. But I think that their relationship and the way that it progresses is genuinely so well written. I feel that their entire resolution where Nick essentially confesses, not really confesses, but basically confesses that he loves her. Again, he doesn't say this literally, but he admits that to him, she is his pact even though he's a very solitary animal, and that it might not reflect in his actions, but he loves her and he cares about her more than anybody in the world, and vice versa with Judy confessing that even though she acts like she doesn't care what the people think about them and whether or not that they're compatible as partners, as cops, that she does, and that she tries too hard because she doesn't want to prove everybody right, and that to her, he is her fluffle, which is a pack of bunnies. And it's beautiful. It really is beautiful. And it really just opened my eyes a lot, because one thing I didn't really mention in the beginning of this video was that the initial argument between the two that kind of temporarily causes a rift in the relationship is, obviously, Nick is the jokester. He doesn't really like to take things seriously. And even when you would think this guy would absolutely hate Judy for her actions, her impulsiveness, and all of that, he still prioritizes her and he still cares about her. And he respectfully will correct her when she thinks that, oh, she's doing no wrong and that, oh, he messed up. But they never really yell or berate each other. And I think it's such a good representation of just a well-developed, beautiful relationship. Like, whether it's platonic or romantic, it's just so well written, and it genuinely makes me cry, because I think about the scene in the original Zootopia where Nick was so full of whimsy, full of dreams, and wanted to become such great things in life, but everyone around him basically told him, you can't do that because you're a fox. And obviously, many minorities and many people of color, indigenous people, have probably heard something similar to that, where because of who they are or where they came from, that they cannot achieve those dreams, and that they're untrustworthy, or that they are lesser beings, essentially. And little did Nick know that years later, he would meet somebody who would basically encourage him and make him realize that he can do greater things. And it's just so well executed. I really have no other ways to describe it, but it genuinely makes me happy. And it's such a real look into how people with different personalities can make a relationship of any kind work. And again, going back to the rift in the relationship, Nick cares about Judy and he doesn't want to see her get hurt. The reason why he makes these jokes and why he was so adamant about keeping her from solving this case was because he doesn't think that, you know, trying to solve this case and trying to save the snake is worth dying for. It's not something that he is willing to risk his life, or rather her life, for. But Judy, obviously realizing that in the first movie she kind of perpetrated those same ideologies of that, oh, Nick's not like these other predators, or that there are dangerous predators, it's in their biology. She feels the need that, no, I do need to help. This is my cause and I will see it through, that the truth is out. Like, all of that, right? And in a way, it really just resonated with me, because there are often times where I almost feel like I hold myself back from talking about certain important topics, such as like Israel and Palestine, because to some people, it's almost as if, oh, if you talk about these things, you're essentially destroying your reputation. People will no longer take you seriously, or people are going to call you woke or whatever. You're going to have all these negative connotations surrounding you. And it's true. Sometimes it is hard to talk about those things, but at the end of the day, I feel that these things need to be talked about. These are things that are going on in our daily lives, and if people don't talk about it, if people don't speak out about it and bring more awareness to it, then how is anything going to be done? And so in a way, this movie made me feel seen and understood, because as many of you guys might not even know, I have immigrant parents, and every day I fear that with how worse the conditions are for immigrants coming to America are these days, and how the government does not care about minorities, they do not care about us. It's truly made me scared, and even to the point where sometimes I don't even want to go and protest when there are local protests around me, because I'm scared that, you know, something bad could happen to me or my parents or anyone else in my family. But it's better to do the right thing and speak out and bring awareness than it is to hide away, especially when you can do something. And so I encourage you guys to watch this movie. I encourage everybody to formulate their own opinion. If you liked the movie and you already watched it, please let me know. If you didn't like something about it, tell me as well. But that being said, that's gonna be it for me. Thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. Thank you, Chompy, for being the gourmet gummy. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.